Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Coming at you after a Dallas Mavericks win. The Mavs win 111-107 against the Golden State Warriors on ESPN. What a game that was. The Mavs, regardless of all of the drama surrounding the Luka trade for Anthony Davis, I don't think that you can argue how resilient this group has been since that trade took place. The results haven't been 100, but 2-1. I mean, you win the Anthony Davis debut, drop a heartbreaker on Monday night to the Sacramento Kings, a game the Mavs, I think, if healthy, easily win. And then you go again on Wednesday night against the Golden State Warriors, and you pull out a win in a game the Mavs were pretty solid underdogs. I think the line was about 7.5 at closing. Mavs were not favored in this game by any means. Kyrie goes off. We're going to talk about everything here in just a little bit. Get to comments, get to questions, get to all that good stuff. Doing things a little bit differently today. Normally Wednesdays are our Texas Rangers off-season day. We may talk a little Texas Rangers off-season yet, although I think I am going to do a full Rangers pod a little bit later on in the week. But regardless, whether you hear from Mavs, Rangers, whatever the case may be, welcome. And here Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Mavericks and especially the Dallas Mavericks during the NBA season. Thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Mavs content and more. Well, let's get into it. Let me say what's up to all y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everybody tuning in today, whether you're watching live or whether you are on the replay. Thank you for joining us. I definitely have got to start with Kyrie Irving. We got to look at the stat line on this man for tonight. Kyrie just going off. I knew that Kyrie was going to need to have a big game today with some of the injuries. And obviously going into a game like this, it's always somewhat hit or miss, isn't it? You can't necessarily book anything these days, and especially with the Mavs and just the fact that they are not running on all cylinders right now. It is just hard to predict outcomes. But Kyrie, he goes off tonight against the Warriors. Going to get you that stat line in just a little bit. That was a lot of fun, by the way. Was that third quarter when he hit like 3 threes in a row and then shot one from the logo to boot? That was awesome. The lid would have came off the AAC had he hit that logo three-pointer, trying to go 4 for 4 in like 1 minute from three-point land. Kyrie, what a game. Like, that is what you can get from Kyrie Irving on any given night. And on a night like tonight, you just absolutely had to have Kyrie with this type of performance. Right before the All-Star break, the Mavs are looking for any kind of positive momentum going into this one. Like, any kind of positive momentum at this point. And to get a win tonight, I said at the beginning of the week, just to go 2-1 this week would be phenomenal. I don't know if the Mavs are going to be able to pull it off. Really, really tough going back-to-back. Of course, the Mavs playing the Miami Heat tomorrow night. Really, really tough to get back-to-back wins on a back-to-back. Not impossible, right? But just hard to do. The Mavs have played now. This will be 3 games in 4 days for them. You go back to AD's debut. This is a lot of basketball in a short amount of time. The Mavs are surely going to love being on the All-Star break here in a little bit. It would be phenomenal if they could get the win tomorrow night against the Heat on TNT. Back-to-back games, national broadcast. Gotta love it. There's a lot of eyes on the Mavs right now. But let's focus on the positives. Let's focus on the good stuff. Kyrie Irving tonight, his final stat line, 40 minutes. I mean, Kai was bringing it tonight. I don't know what he's going to look like tomorrow night coming off of a 40-minute game. But Kyrie Irving just completely gave it all he had and balled out. 40 points, 42 points, 42 points for Kyrie Irving. 7 rebounds, no assists on the night for Kai, which is rare for him, but no assist. Dude was just shooting tonight. 15 for 25 from the floor, 7 for 10, shooting 70% from three-point land. Kyrie Irving pulling out all the stops tonight. Behind him, we had Klay Thompson and Max Christie each putting in 17. Max Christie continues to be a big-time contributor. I don't think he's played a game in a Dallas Mavericks uniform without scoring 15 or more. Don't think Max Christie has had a game as a Dallas Maverick without scoring 15. Phenomenal game from him. And he goes in as well and puts up, looks like 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Klay tonight, 17, went 5 for 14 from three-point land. Klay didn't quite have the touch tonight. He did start out quite hot, but 17 points still helpful against the old team. Good to see Klay getting a win in Dallas against Steph and the old crew. Again, Klay, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, had a couple blocks and a steal as well. Really, really needed those performances from those two guys supporting Kyrie. Brandon Williams pours in 12 points off the bench. Spencer Dinwiddie, pretty quiet tonight. I was actually really surprised at Dinwiddie's use. He was not bringing up the ball very often. They really put that in the hands of other players tonight. Just kind of a surprising tactic from Jay Kidd. Expected Dinwiddie, when Kyrie went out, to pretty much run the offense. They went a different direction with that tonight. Spencer Dinwiddie, 3 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, only 18 minutes of play. Najee Marshall, big off the bench, almost a double-double, 10 points, 8 rebounds. I have to say, this is one of those gutsy wins you look back on. It's close at the end of the season. The Mavs are probably going to be neck and neck with a number of different teams. The Kings, the Golden State Warriors, the Suns. The Spurs are fading a little bit right now. They lose again today to the Boston Celtics. I don't know if the Spurs are going to be able to make themselves relevant, even with the addition of De'Aaron Fox. You never say never. Clearly, they could make a run. There's several games left in the year. I mean, what Mavs are 55 games in, 56 tomorrow. So you've still got 25, 26 games left in the season. Anything can happen, but the Spurs are distancing themselves from the play-in, piling up some of these losses here before the All-Star break. Still, you win the series against Golden State. I believe Mavs sealed that up tonight. That could be huge down the stretch, especially as the Mavs and Golden State battle it out for these final play-in spots. And we're going to check out the standings here in just a little bit. Again, tomorrow night, 7:30 Central Time, 7:30 Texas time. Mavs will be playing and we'll be going up against the Heat. Believe that game will be, it's not on TNT, actually. They must have flexed that one out. It's on, looks like local stations, ABC. Thought that would have been a TNT game, but maybe they decided to flex it. I don't know. Anyways, let's check out standings real quick. Let's see what's going on right now with the Mavs after this win tonight. Again, Spurs lose, so they distance themselves a little bit from the play-in. Let's check it out real quick. So we've got Dallas sitting in the 8th spot, 29-26. They are a game and a half out of the 6th seed, right? The play-in is 7 through 10 seeds. Clippers are sitting at 6 right now. They are a game and a half up on the Mavs. So Mavs are very much in play right now to not even be in the play-in tournament. They're going to have to survive some of these injuries. But the Mavs, a lot of talk that they're maybe going to miss the playoffs. I personally think that is going to be pretty tough to pull off just with the teams that are behind them right now and how bad they're playing. The Phoenix Suns are not playing good basketball right now. Golden State, they are still gelling with Jimmy, so maybe Golden State figures it out. The Spurs fading. They are now 20 and a half games out of first. Looks like they are 3 games out of the 10 spot. Again, not counting the Spurs out completely, but right now the Suns and the Spurs on the outside looking in. Houston got a win tonight. That was a real close one. But they are right now 10 and a half games out of first, and the Mavs are behind them by about 5.5 at this point. Denver getting real hot, 8-game win streak. Oklahoma City's on a 7-game win streak. Some of those top spots are just going to be unreachable at this point. But the Mavs very much, I think, could avoid the play-in tournament altogether. Now, look, it could go really well or really bad. It could go sideways quickly. But a lot of talk, and of course, it's what gets the clicks and the engagement, but a lot of talk about the Mavs missing the playoffs altogether. Mavs could easily avoid the play-in tournament altogether and be one of the top 6 seeds in the West. I mean, imagine this team fully healthy. You're pushing Sacramento to the brink with basically nobody, Daniel Gafford going down. You are pretty healthily ahead of Golden State at different points in this game. Again, Golden State still trying to figure things out with Jimmy. Maybe they click and they become a much, much better version of what they've been this year. Time will tell on that one. But for all the talk about Dallas and potentially missing the playoffs, all of the despair with the injuries, this team continues to impress me with the gritty performances they put out. This is not a team that's given up. Clearly, the fan base is down right now, down bad. You've got a lot of anger. You've got a lot of passion right now surrounding the Luka trade. It's good to see the boys out there playing hard. There has not been one game since the Luka trade you felt like they've mailed it in, maybe minus the Sixers game, right? I don't really think we could hold that Sixers game against them. Beyond that Sixers game, literally like the morning after the trade, like you've seen the Mavs grind out these games, win or loss. AD's debut, that was a great performance against the Rockets, a really, really good basketball team. Then you had Monday's game, which should have been a win. You had tonight's game. I've been impressed with what I've seen from the Mavs so far, and you just have to wonder, this team, fully healthy, and I mean fully healthy, what could they be? I think they are a top 3 team in the West when fully healthy. Memphis, OKC, Denver, obviously great opponents, great teams. I can't say a healthy Mavericks team has no shot against any of those teams. I've talked about this before. I'll say it again. Dallas, I feel, has OKC's number. Regular season, playoffs last year, yes, they had Luka. I think Dallas matches up very well when healthy against OKC. Denver, although on an 8-game win streak right now, they have some defensive issues. Not the same championship winning team from a couple years ago. Jokic is amazing, but I think the Mavs match up well with Denver. Same thing with Memphis. I feel like the Mavs can take on anybody in the West. Not saying they're going to win it all, but I don't feel like anybody in the West is unbeatable. Celtics, of course, over in the East, still a juggernaut. They're going to be a lot to contend with. But I feel really good about the Mavs when healthy. The question is if they're ever going to get there. The injuries just continue to mount up for Dallas. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to see this team fully healthy at the end of this 2024-2025 season. I hope to be wrong. I hope Anthony Davis can come back. By the way, a couple of y'all were asking, when is Davis coming back? I don't think Davis is going to be back for probably the rest of February. If we see Anthony Davis before March hits, I'll be very surprised. I would absolutely love if AD would come back for that game on the 25th in LA. Like, he's probably circled that game and he is trying to come back for that game in LA. I would love to see it. That game in LA, Luka Doncic playing his old team, Anthony Davis playing his old team at Crypto. That is going to be absolute theater, and I'm excited for that matchup. I'd love if Anthony Davis could be a part of it. I don't know if it's going to happen. It might be a little ambitious. I'm sure he is trying like ever to get back for that game on the 25th, but I'm going to be surprised if we see him before March. And you know what? If the Mavs can just stay above water, play 500 basketball, maybe slightly above 500 basketball, that would be even better. That would be huge if you can just survive with AD out. Daniel Gafford, by the way, another injury update on Gaff. He is going to be reevaluated in a couple of weeks. I would not imagine we see him even coming out of the All-Star break. I think he's probably going to miss that game against the Pelicans. And then after that, we have looks like another game against the Warriors in the Bay Area on the 23rd. Maybe Gafford comes back for that game on the 25th. So that would be 2 full weeks post-injury. Maybe best case he's back for that Lakers game on the 25th. But Daniel Gafford, I think, avoided anything major, but going to be reevaluated in a couple of weeks. Anthony Davis, likewise, avoided something major. Surgery would have been terrible. He would have been out for the season had you actually had to have surgery on that adductor issue that he's having right now. I'm so glad that they avoided that. That would have been probably epic levels of meltdown in Dallas Mavericks fandom nation. I really, really am glad AD avoided that big time injury. So we'll see what happens. I think when Dallas gets fully healthy, this is going to be a scary team. You saw that against the Rockets on Saturday. It was scary with AD. They were one of probably the best defensive teams in the NBA when Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and then Derek Lively isn't even playing right now. You get all three of those guys rotating in and out. AD potentially getting to play that 4 full time and very sparingly moving to the 5. That is a juicy rotation, and I really feel like the Mavs can do something special with it. It's just, are we ever going to get to see it happen? The injury bug has bitten the Mavs terribly this season. Terribly. My goodness. But Mavs get a win tonight, 111-107. Really, really good stuff. And to talk about a couple of other things, let's talk a little bit, just a little bit, about some of the drama that continues to surround the Mavs with the Luka trade. Dirk Nowitzki Monday night going to Luka's game. I thought that was actually a really classy move. Of course, for Luka and Dirk, it goes beyond basketball, right? Dirk and Luka have a relationship, a good relationship. Mentor Dirk to Luka. It goes beyond the basketball court for them. And of course, Luka with his former team, lot of great relationships there. That to me, it felt like a tight locker room. It goes beyond the basketball court. So I actually enjoyed seeing Dirk. I know a lot of people were using that as fuel to the fire. I think that's just two really good friends and one really good friend in particular supporting the other one. And I think that's awesome. Dirk, obviously a Maverick for life, but I thought that was a really, really classy touch by him. So good for Dirk doing the right thing, going out and supporting his brother Luka in the Lakers debut. Luka didn't play very much. It was a blowout game. He put up 14 points, I think 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Tonight was not a good night for the Lakers. You're not going to catch me upset about that, by the way. The Lakers go to Utah. Looked like they were already on the All-Star break vacation. 131-119 Lakers fall tonight. Let's see what Luka did just for fun. See what kind of game he had. Doesn't look like he played very much again. 23 minutes for Luka, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So Luka not really playing a lot of minutes at this point. I think they're really trying to be careful with him. Of course, those calf injuries, you really never know what they're going to be like or how they're going to turn out. So I can't blame them. Got to be careful with anything lower body. Easy to tweak in a game where you are running up and down the court, running multiple miles per game. I definitely think the right thing to do, especially right before the All-Star break, give him a little bit of time. We'll talk about Patrick Dumont, Mavs governor. Some of the quotes coming out at this point, I really, really wish would just stop. I don't understand why the Mavs front office, why the Mavs governor, why the Mavs ownership continues to run their mouth about the Luka Doncic trade. At this point, if anybody wants you on a podcast, I would be saying no. And if they want to ask about it, totally PR, classy, high road response. I feel like the more we talk in the Mavs front office about this trade, the worse it gets. Patrick Dumont coming out and basically making the insinuation that Luka not among some of the all-time greats that worked really, really hard. Patrick Dumont forgets to mention Dirk, of course, in the quote as well. Kind of clueless, if you ask me. I really, really would like nobody in the Mavs front office to continue to comment on the Luka trade. Like at this point, please stop and move on. You've made the trade. You have Anthony Davis. You have Max Christie. Luka's with LA. Front office, move on. Stop giving the media Luka quotes. Please. Please. I am ready for the Mavs front office to stay quiet for a little bit. I know that the Mavs fans are going to continue to give it to them. And look, that's their right. I'm always going to be glass half full. I hope that things work out for the Mavs. I miss Luka, did not love the trade. But at this point, trying to move forward as best I can as a fan and just enjoy what the Mavs have right now at the end of this 2024-25 season. AD going down doesn't help, but the Mavs ownership needs to put foot in mouth immediately. Please stop generating clickbait quotes, and not very good quotes at that, surrounding Luka Doncic. I think at this point, Luka has handled all this much better than the Mavs front office had. And that's not surprising. Luka, as much as he can get loud, passionate on the court, competitive, fiery in the media, totally high road. As he said in his Lakers opening press conference, you got to take your hat off to Luka Doncic. Just the epitome of class right now. And I hope that he does well for himself in LA. I hope it's not at the expense of the Mavs. As a Mavs fan and a lifelong Laker hater, I cannot bring myself to genuinely cheer for the Lakers to do well. I'll look at the box score. I'll hope Luka has a nice individual game and it results in a Lakers loss. I'm not going to be cheering for the Lakers in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I saw today on the ESPN broadcast, they were kind of panning to the fans here and there. A few people wearing Luka Lakers jerseys. I just could never do that. I could never bring myself to wear the purple and gold. I don't know. I've questioned multiple people's Dallas Mavericks fandom. If you're willing to put on the Laker purple and gold, I mean, everybody's got their own thing. I guess you do you. Personally, I never would be caught dead wearing Laker purple and gold or giving any kind of money to the franchise in general. Hate the Lakers. So love Luka. Hope that I can check the box score every once in a while and see that he's still putting up numbers in losing efforts. But I surely am not cheering for the Lakers and Luka to do anything special, especially if it's at the Mavs' expense. No, thank you. No, thank you. By the way, we'll keep things rolling here. Let me check comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Mr. Carrot, what's good? The Rangers have an opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. Mavs trading Luka. Cowboys are still the Cowboys. Imagine if the Rangers trade Corey or Adolis. Yeah, if the Rangers did that, I don't want to know what would be happening in the streets of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Like, I don't know if they could take a Corey Seager or Adolis Garcia trade. Corey Seager more so than Adolis Garcia, I would say. Like, I actually think with the year Adolis Garcia had, you probably could stomach an Adolis Garcia trade. I don't think many people would be stomaching a Corey Seager trade at this point. I don't think Chris Young and Ross Fenstermaker are going to do that, though. I think they are a little bit wiser than Nico Harrison in that regard. Don't think that the Rangers are going to be trading their cornerstone piece of the franchise at this point. All right. Let me keep going here. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Thank you so much. Let's talk a little J Kidd. J Kidd on Monday night after the game. Mavs lose a heartbreaker on a DeMar DeRozan buzzer beater. After the game, J Kidd absent from the press conference. Doesn't make an appearance. And this was, I believe, according to a couple of Mavs beat writers, the first time that J Kidd had not done a post-game presser. And a lot of them had never been a part of a game covering a game where a coach did not give a post-game press conference. So J Kidd coming out today saying that he needed a minute to regroup. Tough game, tough loss. Clearly losing Daniel Gafford, injuries mounting up. J Kidd said he needed a minute to put the pieces back together. I can hardly blame him, to be honest. Like, a part of me says, dude, come on, it's your job. You're making millions of dollars a year. You can figure out the press conference. But honestly, if he's going through anything, what I'm going through with the last several, days, last week, losing Luka, losing Daniel Gafford to injury, losing a heartbreaker on a DeMar DeRozan buzzer beater, I can hardly blame the guy. I mean, look, this win tonight will go a long way, I'm sure, smoothing things over, but can hardly blame J Kidd for not showing up to the press conference on Monday night. I just can't imagine. You had Luka Doncic, the best scorer in the NBA, in my opinion. We can argue best player. I don't think Luka all around is the best player. I think scorer, though, offensive player, I don't think there's anybody better in the league than Luka Doncic scoring the basketball. All around two-way, I think there's an argument that there are a couple of guys that are above Luka overall. But scoring the basketball, yeah, it's Luka all day long. So J-Kid loses the best scorer in basketball. You lose AD in his debut after a tremendous start to that game against the Rockets. And then you're looking pretty good against the Sacramento Kings. And honestly, if you watch that game all the way through, the Mavs should have completely pummeled the Kings. It shouldn't have even been close. But Daniel Gafford goes down about halfway through that game. I can only imagine what J-Kid is going through. Now, look, I know the age-old adage, like wipe the tears with the Benjamins. Like these guys are making millions of dollars. You can't feel too sorry for them. But look, J-Kid, this is his life. This is his job. This is his work. I can only imagine what that guy's going through. No say in the Luka Doncic trade. Then you lose AD and you lose Daniel Gafford, all within a span of like 72 hours. 72 hours, man. What a whirlwind weekend and past 3-4 days for J-Kid, really in the entire Dallas Mavericks organization. Me keep going. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. Kyrie showed out tonight 100%. Kyrie showed out tonight. 42 points. 42 points for Kyrie Irving. My goodness. Incredible. Really, really great to see Kyrie in his element and just going off tonight, putting the team on his back when they desperately needed it. All right, we keep going. Appreciate it. Also, isn't AD hurt again? AD is hurt, out for probably 3 weeks. Like I said, I would be really surprised if we saw Anthony Davis before March. Like, I really hope Anthony Davis is back for that game against the Lakers, but it's just not going to surprise me. Just not going to surprise me if he is out until early March. Keep going with comments. Weren't Mavs asking him to be fired and now they feel bad for him? If you're talking about J-Kid, I think J-Kid has absolutely been a polarizing figure throughout his tenure as the Dallas Mavericks head coach. I think now most people do feel bad for J-Kid. Again, had no say in the Luka trade. Went to the finals last year. Look, as much as we want to say it was Luka, as much as we want to say that it was all number 77 leading the team, I think you got to give some credit to the coaching staff. You got to give some credit to J-Kid. I don't think you make it to the finals with an absolutely terrible coach. Look, maybe there's some that'll argue that out there. I don't think J-Kid is terrible. I don't think he's the best coach in the NBA. But I do think at this point, Mavs fans do feel sorry for J-Kid. I don't know how you could feel the opposite with how the last 72 to 96 hours have gone. Let me keep going. Appreciate all the comments, by the way. Thanks for all y'all tuning in. Do I think the Mavs ever recover with the fans from trading Luka? I really think at this point, the only way to recover, by the way, Dear Hunter, appreciate the comment. I really think the only way at this point to recover is to win games. I don't know if you have to win a championship. I think a deep run into the playoffs would solve a lot. What I do think is going to create even more tension is if Luka goes all the way, wins an NBA Finals with the Lakers. I do think immediately when that happens, if the Mavs haven't won an NBA championship yet themselves, you're going to have all of those feelings rehashed. I do think winning is going to solve a lot. And like I said, I don't think winning the NBA Finals is what it's going to take. I think if the Mavs can get to the Western Conference Finals, if you can get back to the NBA Finals, I personally think it's hard if you're a true fan to just shut that off. Like, that's pretty freaking amazing if you can run it all the way back to the Western Conference Finals with Anthony Davis, back to the NBA Finals. And we'll have to see how Luka does. Unfortunately, I do think how Mavs fans feel is going to also rely on how well the Lakers and Luka are doing. Like, as much positive vibes as there are for Luka, the reality, in my opinion, is if Luka continues to have success with the Lakers, maybe for a second, we'll all be happy for him. But then ultimately, it just makes us feel worse. Like it just makes the trade feel even worse when Luka is killing it on the Lakers. That's why I've been very clear from the very beginning with this trade. Like I wish Luka personally success. Like I hope he isn't injured. I hope he has a good track of health here. But I'm not hoping Luka kills it with the Lakers. In my opinion, it's just going to make this entire trade feel worse. I don't hope Luka sucks. I love Luka, probably my favorite player in the NBA. And now I'm finding myself at a little bit of a loss where to go from here with favorite player. Just can't cheer for the Lakers. It's just not in my DNA. And Luka, unfortunately, wearing the purple and gold now. Like I'm not going to root against him, not going to root for him to fail, but I'm not going to be sad when I look at the box scores and see that the Lakers lost to the Jazz tonight. And look, I hope Luka continues to play well, play at a high level, but I don't want to see the Lakers win a bunch of ball games. It's just going to make this trade even more terrible. For a second, I think Mavs fans will cheer Luka on. Then when it comes down to it, though, you kind of take a step back and I think you realize, wow, this sucks even more. That's at least how I'll feel. Luka and the Lakers winning will not help me feel any better. It'll make me feel probably even worse about the fact that they traded away their franchise cornerstone in Luka Doncic. We keep going. Do I trust the current Mavs front office? I do wonder. Here's my thing is, have the Mavs front office people, Nico Harrison, been compromised by ownership? So what I mean by that is a part of me really does feel strongly that Patrick Dumont and the ownership put pressure on Nico Harrison to get rid of Luka Doncic ahead of him potentially signing that supermax. I don't think Nico acted alone. I think he is going to say that to take some of the heat off of the new ownership and off of the new governor, of course, Mark Cuban selling a major stake to the Adelson family, Patrick Dumont taking over the governor role. I think Nico Harrison is going to try to take heat off of that new ownership by saying that he acted alone. But the reality is, in a trade of that magnitude, when you're talking about Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the NBA, and when you're talking about a $350 million supermax, Nico Harrison ain't acting alone. And so I really do wonder, did ownership, did Dumont basically tell Nico Harrison, get the trade done? We don't want to pay the supermax. Figure out how to get Luka out of town. Maybe Nico Harrison and Luka were button heads, the egos. I'm not saying that's untrue, but I am saying I think you had the $350 supermax looming, the Adelsons, Dumont maybe not wanting to pay that, and then you've conveniently got the Nico Harrison, Luka Doncic headbutting with the conditioning and with the defensive play. You've got all of those things stirring in the pot. I do wonder, though, if ultimately ownership and Dumont decided we have to deal Luka. Nico, figure it out. Get the best return that you can. And so when somebody asks, do you have faith in the front office? I don't think that Nico Harrison is an idiot. I think he made some really savvy trades last year, getting Gafford, getting PJ Washington. Those were huge trades for the Dallas Mavericks. Absolutely huge trades. And I don't think that you can suddenly take those away from Nico Harrison and pretend like he doesn't have a clue. You got Kyrie Irving. That was Nico Harrison as well. Kyrie was a very controversial, polarizing figure when he came to Dallas. I will pat myself on the back. I did say Kyrie was going to come here and have a great run as a Dallas Maverick. You were going to see things level out with him personally, and you were going to see him play some of his best years of basketball. And I feel like we're getting that out of Kyrie right now. So I personally can't say that I feel Nico Harrison acted alone. In fact, I wonder if he was pressured into the Luka Doncic trade and he's just kind of the fall guy at this point. So I'll say this. I do still think that Nico Harrison and the front office are going to be able to put together a competitive squad. I think it's more on the Adelsons and Patrick Dumont than what people are making it out to be. And I do think that people are beginning to realize that. I think you saw Patrick Dumont mercilessly booed at the game on Monday against the Sacramento Kings at AAC. Like, that dude was booed walking to his seat. It was bad. Look, Patrick Dumont has not had a great week. We talked earlier on the show about some of his quotes coming out. Just not good. Dude, like, just give the press conferences and the interviews a rest for a little bit. Like, Luka Doncic has handled this entire thing in the media like a complete consummate professional, like a pro. And Luka has really always been that way in the media. Gets a little feisty on the court, but he has always been, in my opinion, a professional in the pressers, in the post-game stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Patrick Dumont and the Mavs front office in general, just take a little time away from the media, please. Let me see if I can find that Patrick Dumont quote, by the way. Let's see if I got it here. The quote: "In my mind, the way teams win is by focus, by having the right character, by having the right culture, having the right dedication to work as hard as possible to create a championship winning outcome. If you're not doing that, you're going to lose." Dumont goes on to say, if you look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks. Like, dude, that feels like total scorched earth on Luka Doncic for no reason. The point has been made in the media that Luka Doncic is out of shape, overweight, isn't really great at staying consistent with conditioning, doesn't play great defense. Like, the narrative has been pushed out already. It's loud and clear. How true it is, I think we'll find out the rest of the way as this season winds down and into the postseason. But you just didn't need to put this cherry on top at this point. You did not need to say anything remotely close to this. I don't know how you don't take this quote from Patrick Dumont as a direct shot to Luka. There's really no need for it. And as I said, right as I began the show talking about this Dumont quote, like, how do you not throw Dirk in that list of names? You said Jordan, you said Bird, you said Kobe, you said Shaq. How do you not throw Dirk Nowitzki, the greatest Mav in franchise history, in that list? I mean, it just can't get a whole lot worse for the PR, for the Mavs front office and ownership. Just take a break, man. Let the All-Star break just totally simmer things out, and then go ahead and just keep a low profile the rest of the way. Like, we do not need to hear from Patrick Dumont again this season. They're just going to ask him about Luka, and he'll probably make another dumb comment like this one. Just let it go and let things play out with AD. Let the on-court stuff do the talking. No need to keep doing it yourself. All right. Let me go ahead. Let me check, make sure I didn't miss anything. What's good to everybody tuning in on YouTube? Appreciate all of y'all. And on Facebook, X as well. Thank you so much. TikTok also. Appreciate you guys. 42 points for Kyrie. Gotta love it. The refs won y'all this game. The refs, it definitely was a little bit of a ref show tonight. Not going to lie. A little bit of a ref show tonight. There were a couple of really, really questionable calls. But look, if it's going to come down to a 4-point game, for me, you look at the Golden State Warriors, you look at the box score, you look at what they did tonight. You had Steph, kind of an off shooting night, 9 for 23. Jimmy Butler, 8 for 17. Moses Moody, 5 for 13. The Warriors did not shoot the ball well tonight. Can you make an argument with a little bit better officiating? This game maybe goes their way. Yeah, I could make the same argument the other way. A little bit better officiating on the Mavs side. This game probably doesn't even come down to the wire. But personally, you look at some of the plus minuses. Jimmy Butler was a minus 17 tonight for the Warriors. Minus 17. Buddy Hield a minus 21. Like, I know the plus minus isn't everything, but my goodness, like, the Warriors did not play a great game tonight. And they almost won, and the officiating was not great. But for me, I just can't go to the refs when you're talking about a game where you had terrible shooting and really didn't deserve to win. I mean, you had how many turnovers for the Warriors? Let's see, 5, 9, 12, 15 turnovers for the Warriors tonight. Mavs had 14, so it was actually pretty even in that regard. But I don't think that the refs were the reason why the Mavs won this game tonight. Kyrie Irving was the reason the Mavs won this game tonight. You had 42 points from Kai. Incredible output from him. Klay Thompson just loves playing against the Golden State Warriors, man. He came out killing it. I think he had almost all of his points in the first half. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 buckets in the second half. But Klay just loves playing his old team. Can't blame him. Glad to see him getting a win against them. I know before game, there's just a little bit of extra something for Klay, I'm sure, coming into this matchup. Good to see him having a nice game tonight. Again, didn't shoot the 3-ball great, 5 for 14. This could have been a 30-point game for Klay had he put a few more of those in. But nevertheless, great output from him. Max Christie, very solid, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And then you had double digits coming off the bench for Najee Marshall, and Brandon Williams had a nice game. Really nice game from him. 2 for 3 from three-point land, 12 points. It was a great win for Dallas. Little bit nervous about how tomorrow is going to go. You've got the Mavs playing the Heat back-to-back, third game in 4 days. I don't know, y'all. I'm going to keep my expectations low for tomorrow and be really happy if the Mavs end up going 2-1 this week and pulling out a win against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, obviously, Jimmy Butler-less, still probably trying to figure things out a little bit. Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, they've got a good squad. Like, the Mavs are going to get a good game from the Heat. They're very well coached. Not going to shock me if this is another really close game. I wonder how good Kai is going to be for this one. Like, you put in 40 minutes tonight from Kyrie Irving. I don't know if Kyrie is going to be putting in another 40-point performance. Maybe Kai, before the All-Star break, just says, screw it, I'm going all out, and we're just going to let the chips fall where they may. But I'd be really surprised if we see Kyrie putting in another 40-minute performance tomorrow night in a back-to-back situation. Last couple of things here. Let's talk a little Anthony Davis. We talked about when he's going to be expected back. I will say, just my emotional reaction, I don't know what AD's got going on. Maybe rehab, maybe just doing things at home. Schedule is a little bit busy right now with everything going on, adjusting to life in Dallas, kind of getting things figured out. Maybe the Mavs are giving him some time with the injury to kind of piece all those things together. But, man, it would feel a lot better if Anthony Davis was on the bench right now. And again, trying not to make a quick judgment. I'm just giving y'all my rapid fire kind of emotional reaction. But I don't know. I'd feel a lot better with AD on the bench supporting the team. You saw D Live on the bench. He's out till April. It's good to see these guys, even though they're injured. I know street clothes is the affectionate Anthony Davis nickname, but I would love to see AD on the bench supporting. We'll cut him a break before the All-Star break, moving to a new city, getting hurt. There's a lot going on for Anthony Davis right now. So don't get it twisted. We're not crucifying the guy, but I will say, personally, I'd feel a lot better seeing the guy on the bench cheering on the team. I know I'm being a little bit selfish, but with D Live, with other guys that are out, it's just nice seeing him on the bench supporting. I think it gives the team a boost. I think even to see the fans around and the energy that you just have seeing all those stars, whether they're playing or not, that's leadership, right? And AD, I'm sure, has some good excuses. Again, not getting on him, but I hope AD, if he's out for an extended period of time, I hope he'll come along, come to some of these games. I know Mavs fans would probably really appreciate seeing him. We know he's a leader. We know that he's already jiving well with guys on the team. Of course, had a great relationship with Kyrie Irving coming into this. And Max Christie, of course, a former teammate. I'm sure we'll see a little more of AD after the All-Star break. Really hope that injury is not as bad as what's been reported a few weeks out. Hopefully he'll be back when the calendar turns to March. I think that would be probably best case scenario at this point. We keep going. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. I think we're going to bring things to a close. Not sure if we are going to go live tomorrow or not. We very well may, depending on the outcome of the game. For anybody trying to hang out for Texas Rangers, I think we'll do a full Texas Rangers pod maybe this weekend, maybe on Friday. I don't know, long weekend. I feel like there's some good opportunity to do it. Right now, little bit of a slow time in baseball. Yes, spring training starting up. Pitchers and catchers reported, I believe, today to the Surprise facility. So there is some news to cover, but I think we'll do a separate Rangers pod, and I'll probably do that some point this weekend. We've been doing Wednesdays this entire offseason, so if you came looking for Texas Rangers baseball, Wednesdays definitely usually our day. We're shifting a little bit now that football season's over to NBA, covering the Dallas Mavericks, and not going live after every single game, but trying to do it here and there, much like we'll do for Texas Rangers this year. Not sure we'll do every game like we did last year. Last year, almost every Texas Rangers game, we were live after it, giving you post-game analysis. We'll probably go live at least once a series for the Rangers. And as things start heating up with spring training performances, when we get to see the guys out there getting warmed up for the season, the more shows that we will do in excitement and anticipation of the 2025 season, getting kicked off for Major League Baseball. Nothing like it. NBA, baseball starting up, NHL playoffs, March Madness. We're about to come into a phenomenal time in the sporting world. Phenomenal time. It's like, for me, I know I've said this before, but October and late March, April, probably the best months to be a sports fan. So we'll be back later this week to talk Rangers, maybe live tomorrow night to talk Mavs going into the All-Star break. Thank you so much for everybody that commented, that tuned in tonight. Thank you for anyone that followed while we were live. Greatly appreciate that. You know somebody that's an NBA fan, you know somebody that's a Dallas Mavs fan, would greatly appreciate if you shared this video with them or one of my other shorts or reels. Let's keep growing this good group of people that we got talking Dallas Mavericks basketball. And as I go throughout the rest of the week, hope to see you. If I don't, maybe we'll catch you at some point on one of the following shows, maybe next week after the All-Star break. But if I don't see you, have a great weekend. And as I always say to end every show, God bless. Go Mavs.